I'm back. Here we go, baby. NFL Power Rankings, Week 1. Here we go, right after this. My name is Kevin Barat of the KO Sports Corner. Make sure to like and subscribe and follow us for more content like this, as well as follow all our other social medias, which include Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We have the Twitch, we have Discord, and we also have La Pecera, Los Miami Marlins, as well as go make sure to follow Fish Stripes and other social medias where you could check out my latest articles as well as my top Miami Marlins top 5 plays of the week that come out every single Monday. So today we're going into rank the NFL teams, power rankings. We're going to do them every single Monday, hopefully. I can keep that promise. That's the goal, to really go power rank every single team every Monday, maybe even Tuesday. But for week 1, we're going to do it today on Monday. I think I'm going to do it Tuesday because of Monday Night Football. But at the end of the day, you guys will be getting a video every week on the NFL. I still don't know what kind of schedule I want to use to post. I know you guys are going to get one every Saturday for sure. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it's going to be a crazy ride. I do want to bring out content for you guys, and for sure I do want to get production a lot better. I think editing wise we're going to get a lot better. So we're going to start with our NFL power rankings, and no surprise that number 32 is the Houston Texans. It's just a team who didn't do much in the offseason. They had the drama with Deshaun Watson. They weren't able to trade him on time, and he has 22 legal allegations. He has 22 allegations against him. They're bad, really bad allegations. He could really lose his time in the NFL. He could be done in the NFL. And Tyrod Taylor's just starting quarterback for the team. Besides that, they don't have that much more. I mean, it's just a really bad team in general. They're most likely either going to go 0-17 or something like that. I think they'll get 1 or 2 wins out of the season. Deshaun Watson comes back and just starts getting magic done, man. That'll be different. Sorry for the lightning, guys. Quick disclaimer, it is raining really bad outside when you live in Miami, so yeah, but let's get back to the video. Yeah, so with Deshaun Watson, I mean, it's just the point of you have Watson, this team may be 30th ranked, maybe 20-something ranked, but this team's the worst team in the league. Tyrod Taylor's your quarterback. This is kind of just to get Tyrod Taylor back and some snaps and try to see if he could rejuvenate his career in Houston. Maybe he can. I'm rooting for Tyrod Taylor. This is a really good quarterback who took Buffalo to the playoffs for the first time in a long, long time. So you look at that and you really want the best for that guy. I know Brandon Cooks is in. I think Brandon Cooks should really be traded. Houston should consider trading him away. I mean, it's not a good team, and they don't really have much picks. They don't have much for the future. You do have a quarterback in there. I forgot his name right now. I'm going to put him up on the screen right now. That guy looks like he could be a really good future quarterback. So we'll see what happens. I think really their focus is on the 2022 NFL draft, which has Rutledge. You have a couple quarterbacks in there who you for sure are going to be interested in. So yeah, 2022 draft is their sights. Team number 32, Houston Texans. Yeah, at the 31st spot, it's a little bit obvious, but this team actually did get a little bit better. The Detroit Lions. They added Jared Goff, a young quarterback who they really rebuild off of. They got the Penei Sewell, the offensive tackle, the offensive lineman who really is going to help them. So you look at what they did. They actually got some pretty good moves down. They got DeAndre Swift now. They got rid of Kerryon Johnson. So they made their moves, I mean, when you look at it. But they didn't address the biggest need, which is the wide receiver position. I think that's the biggest issue with the with the Detroit Lions and why they stand at 31. They lost Marvin Jones, they lost Kenny Golladay. I mean, you look at that team. That team literally has no receivers, and their technically best receiver, Brashad Perriman, released. I mean, come on. What are you going to do with no receivers? Jared Goff has no targets. He literally went from having some of the best targets in Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, Gerald Everett at the time, to literally having nothing. Only TJ Hawkinson, which Hawkinson is a top 5 tight end in the league, I'm going to say. And that's probably the biggest positive on that team. Their defense is a little bit better. They have Jeff Okudah. That's about it. I mean, Detroit's not going to do much this season. They're probably going to get a top 5 pick, probably get a wide receiver, hopefully, with that pick, and try to see if they could build off of Jared Goff, which is a guy who's on a 4-year deal. So it makes all the sense in the world to really build off of Jared Goff. Let's move on to team number 30, which will be the Philadelphia Eagles. This is a team who got a little bit better. This is the team who I think really could fight for a spot in the playoffs. They have a chance to fight for that division, which is very, very bad. But after looking at a Washington football team, New York Giants improved. Dallas Cowboys, they got Dak back. That's the only reason why they're really improving. Yeah, it's going to be a tough division. I think that's going to be one of the most unpredictable divisions, but the Eagles really, I don't think, have much to play for in there. They have Jalen Reagor, who has been an absolute disappointment. You look at him, Justin Jefferson. I've shown my displeasure with that pick. And I actually have to apologize to Eagles fans here. Jalen Hurts. I hated the pick. I didn't see a point in making that pick. But look at it now, that pick made a lot of sense. Jalen Hurts is the starter. He's most likely the future quarterback of that team. And it makes sense. And they really did make up the pick of Jalen Reagor with drafting Devontae Smith. You moved up. It was a win-win scenario for the for the Giants. I think they got, was it Kadarius Toney who they got in that pick? I know they got a receiver, and it was a good receiver. It was Toney. I know they got Toney. But I don't know if they had a second pick and they got someone else out of it. But besides that, I mean, it was a win-win trade for both sides. Eagles got this guy, what's his name? They got Devontae Smith, and the Giants got the guy they wanted. So, win-win scenario in that case. And you saw Zach Ertz. I personally would have traded him away to a team maybe like the Jacksonville Jaguars, where you maybe could have tried to get CJ Henderson to help out your defense, which is very lackluster. But besides the point, the Eagles are not going to make the playoffs most likely. They could fight for it. I think it could be an unpredictable division, but it's just very hard to see the Eagles go out there and make a move and try to win in the playoffs. This is why they are the 30th ranked team on my power rankings. Let's move on to team number 29. At the 29th spot, we have the Atlanta Falcons. It's really just a shocker, I think, for a lot of people seeing the Falcons making the Super Bowl just a couple of years ago to now being one of the worst teams in the NFL, in my opinion. They're not going to be a top team in the division. They're not going to fight for a division spot. Maybe they will. That NFC South really got bad. I mean, besides Tampa Bay, all the other teams really didn't get that much better. The Saints now have Jameis Winston. Panthers have Sam Darnold. The team with the most bright future, I think, would be the Panthers. And maybe even the Buccaneers, man. The Buccaneers got Kyle Trask. That guy I'm really high on. But besides the point, let's get back to this team number 29, which is the Falcons. They got Kyle Pitts. You have Calvin Ridley. That's actually very good. I like that part of the offense. I personally think they should go out there and maybe tank a little bit, try to get a top 5 pick, get a QB like a Rutledge, who is the Oklahoma quarterback, the quarterback from Oklahoma. He is projected to go number 1 in every possible mock draft. I'm not going to make mine until the end of the season. But yeah, I mean, Atlanta just doesn't have a good defense. If they had a mediocre defense, I think this team could be a top 25 team in the league. I think I could have moved them a little bit higher, possibly even going for that second spot in the division, possibly even a wild card spot in the NFC. But Atlanta does not have a good defense, so there isn't much we could talk about on that end. Atlanta number 29. Let's move on to team number 28, which is the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are a team who got Jamar Chase. They got a target that Joe Burrow is comfortable with, and I think that was the biggest key to this drafting part for the Bengals. Besides that, they did add a defensive end. I'm going to put his name up on the screen right now. They did some good moves in free agency. They lost out on Carl Lawson. They lost out on AJ Green. Andy Dalton's gone now. He's actually been gone for a while. So something I think would be a nice move for Cincinnati, actually. And I'm not going to say go out there and get Cam Newton, but I would consider it. I mean, who's your backup right now? Joe Burrow needs some help. I think it would make sense to get a guy like Cam, or just get another veteran kind of quarterback. Brian Hoyer would be a good option. I think maybe even if they trade 49ers trade Garoppolo away, that would be a pretty interesting move there on that end. But we'll see what happens. I mean, it's just an interesting thing when you look at the Bengals. You're trying to accommodate Joe Burrow. Their offensive line isn't that good, but they did get some good players. They got Riley Reiff on there. Jonah Williams is back this season. So I'm excited to see what Cincinnati does with this team. It's going to be very interesting to see what they do with the team. I mean, I don't think this is really a team that's going to go and make the playoffs. Not in a million years. If they do, oh my God, congrats to them. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I think their coach, Zach Taylor, very much gets fired this season if things go south. And if you start off 0-8, it's going to be hard to see what Cincinnati does, especially with a coach like Zach Taylor. I think Mike Kafka would be a good option to replace there. So we'll see what happens. Cincinnati Bengals make number 28 on my top power rankings. Let's go to team number 27. At number 7, it is the New Look Jacksonville Jaguars. This is actually a team who I'm in love with. I loved what they've done with the team. They've depleted the defense that was known as Jacksonville a couple years ago, but besides that, they got their quarterback of the future, Trevor Lawrence. You have Laviska Shenault, DJ Chark. You have them there. They did not keep Tim Tebow. They have a pretty good tight end, I've heard. I think it is Tyler Eifert, if I'm correct. I like the offensive line. That offensive line is crazy, man. And then their defense, they do have some good pieces. CJ Henderson, and they have some defensive players in there that are very. Who do you have? Oh my God, Jared. I think it's Allen, and then you have it was one of the players that they drafted last year. I'm going to put Clavon Chason, I think is his name. I'm going to put all the names of that defense team on the screen. But yeah, it's very interesting to see this Jacksonville team, really, how they've gone. I think this is a team who possibly could maybe even get second place in the division. I mean, the only good team is the Colts and the Colts and the Titans. So yeah, I think they'll get third. Houston's for sure going to be last place. When it comes to this team, which is the Jacksonville Jaguars, they very much have set themselves for the future, and it is going to be a bright future. Now to just try to fill in the pieces with the right players, the final little pieces, maybe then start competing. You did get a new coach in Urban Meyer, who hasn't been the greatest as of now, but I think he still has time to redeem himself, and if things don't go well, I think he'll either just retire or the Jacksonville Jaguars will part ways with him at the end of the season. It's not a make or break season, not a championship or bust season. It's just a testing season. See how this guy, Urban Meyer, really adjusts to the NFL level, how he goes along with a new quarterback franchise guy. It's going to be interesting, and it is going to be one hell of a ride for the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars are my team number 27. Let's go to team number 26. Team number 26 is the New York Jets. New quarterback, very good free agency, Carl Lawson, who sadly suffered a season-ending injury. You acquired Corey Davis. The Jets really got better, but the one thing they didn't get was a running back. I think that's one of the biggest needs. And you have guys like Le'Veon, no, but Devontae Freeman would be a pretty good option. You could have gotten Najee Harris in the draft. Besides that, they went Elijah Vera Tucker. So, I mean, and they got Elijah Moore, who was a very good wide receiver coming out of college. And in the draft was expected to go first round. He did not. So you look at the Jets, and they really did get better, but I don't think they'll make it in the playoffs. I think they could fight for it, and they could really fight for the division spot there. I mean, maybe top 2 or 3 in the division in the AFC East. But besides that, I don't see the Jets really making a big push. Maybe just to adjust to a new quarterback in Zach Wilson, who of BYU, or formerly of BYU, who is a really interesting prospect. I mean, this guy really, I think, has shown all the skills to be a good quarterback in the NFL. And I think this is the guy who the Jets really like, and they're going to use for years to come. So yeah, the Jets are number 26. Let's go to team number 25. Team number 25 is the New York Giants. This is the team who did as well get a lot better, adding some pieces there. Mainly Kenny Golladay is the biggest piece that they added there. Saquon Barkley is another piece that they added because he is now pretty much set to go for week 1 against the Denver Broncos. This is another year for Daniel Jones to really show what he could do. He had a pretty decent season last season, almost making the playoffs if it wasn't for Nate Sudfeld and the Philadelphia Eagles. It's very funny because the Giants really, you wanted the best for the Giants, and it just didn't happen. Yeah, but the Giants have a good defense. Offensive line isn't looking the greatest, but I think it's one that could very much improve throughout years to go. They drafted a guy in 2020. So we'll see what happens. It's a crazy season for the Giants. They're in a division that's pretty much wide open, I would assume, because even though the Cowboys are a really good team, they have a lot of talent. I don't think that division's just the Cowboys. It's up for grabs, in my opinion. I'm going to talk about another team in that division who very much could take that first place spot, surprise people in there. But yeah, for now, you look at the Giants. It's a team that did improve. 25 for the New York Giants. Let's move on to team 24. At number 24, we have Teddy Bridgewater's Denver Broncos. Teddy Bridgewater is the starting quarterback. He did win the QB1 spot. Drew Lock is QB2. Denver's a very surprising team. I think this is a very underrated team. In fact, if Teddy Bridgewater could get his stuff together and really get going with Denver, play the Teddy Bridgewater, the young Teddy Bridgewater, rookie Teddy Bridgewater, the one we remember with the Vikings, man, that Denver team is going to be very scary. You have Noah Fant, you have Jerry Jeudy, you have Cortland Sutton. That is a very scary receiving group. And then you have a very good defense, too. I mean, you look at that team. It's an impressive team. I really like what the Broncos have done. Bradley Chubb, You have Von Miller and then they have a very good offensive line. Yeah, I like what what Denver's really done in the offseason. I like what they did this season too. It's just interesting to see what Denver's going to do going forward. They got Patrick Surtain, so it's crazy, man. This team is very good, and I think they're one of the most underrated teams in the league. For sure, an up-and-coming team. Drew Lock, I think, will take at some point the quarterback helm if things go wrong with Teddy Bridgewater, but Denver keeps winning. They're going to be a team for sure in the competition for at least a second spot into that AFC West. Let's move on to the next team. At number 23, we have the Carolina Panthers. I think this is another team very similar to the Broncos, where it's a new quarterback. A lot of players were added. You added J.C. Horn to the defense. You added a very good receiver from LSU. Robbie Anderson's back, former target of Sam Darnold. Now, once again, they're reunited. Carolina's a good team, man. And this is maybe the youngest, maybe one of the most underrated and up-and-coming teams in that NFC side. So I would say teams in the come up, teams that are underrated. Denver's for the AFC. And then you have Carolina for the NFC. Carolina could very much make a move. They could make a move at that second spot in that division, which is the NFC South. So it's interesting to see what's going to happen. I mean, Atlanta, really, if the next season they add a guy like Rutledge, those are some teams that are very competitive next season. Not this season, though. I think if you add a defensive stud to Carolina who could carry the load, I think that would very much work for Carolina. But, some negatives about Carolina. There aren't really much. They're just a young team trying to see what they could do, get going. You have pretty much almost a new coach. So it's interesting to see what Carolina does for the future. So, yeah, Carolina right now makes it at 23. Let's go on to team number 22. It's kind of a surprise when it comes to team number 22. It is the San Francisco 49ers. This is a team who just 2 years ago was in the Super Bowl. Yeah, and they have a lot to come up for. I mean, they drafted Trey Lance. They very much lost some targets out there. Their defense is a lot better than it was last season. They brought back Jason Verrett. They've got Josh Norman just a couple days ago. Nick Bosa's back. So it's going to be interesting to see what the 49ers do when it comes to, are they going to win? I think they'll end up third in that division. That division is very hard to predict right now. That is the NFC West. Very difficult division to predict right now because all the teams are good. This is a team, I think, maybe the worst team out of that division, but one of the best teams in the league when you look at it. Very scary team. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo right now would be the starter. Trey Lance is number 2. If things go wrong for Garoppolo, he's not playing up to par, but they're still getting wins. I think they'll keep him. But if they really want some kind of offensive dynamic in a run-first offense, they're for sure going to get a guy like Trey Lance, throw him in there, and just get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo at the end of the day. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it's going to be interesting for sure. I think, 49ers for sure going to be one of those wild card teams where you do not know what you're going to expect from them. Last season, having a pretty bad year to this season, maybe having a top year again, maybe going back to the Super Bowl. We'll see what happens. 49ers right now are my number 22 team on the power rankings. Let's go to team 21. At 21, we have the Minnesota Vikings. This is a team who I think right now doesn't have Justin Jefferson. I think he's injured. So that is a big reason why that team not top 20 or top 15 in the league right now. Kirk Cousins, I don't know if he's the guy for that team. I think he's not going to be the quarterback of the future. For sure, I think Minnesota is going to be a guy who's going to go for a quarterback in the draft, develop him. Kind of the Jimmy Garoppolo thing, but goes down to Minnesota. You have Adam Thielen, a very good wide receiver. I think you had a pretty good tight end until he got injured. He's out for the season. They re-signed Harrison Smith to I think a 4-year deal, which good to hear for the guy. He's been fighting hard in the league ever since. He's been a very good player. So it's just gonna be a thing of let's see what happens. They brought in Patrick Peterson, so that's gonna be a very interesting signing there. It's kind of replacing Xavier Rhodes. So let's see what happens with Minnesota. This is a team I think could very much go down into the power rankings, but they can make a surprise and move up. I mean, this is a team who I think could very much get second place in that division, maybe even get the wild card spot. So yeah. That is the Minnesota Vikings team 21. Let's go and enter our top 20. Moving on to number 20. This is a much team that I think got worse in the offseason, but they're still pretty good. They still have a good future. I mean, it's the Las Vegas Raiders. This is a team who I think is going to drop down in the rankings very quickly after week 2. I think I'm going to keep the power rankings pretty much similar in week 1. After week 1, because there's not much that we didn't see, but there's some stuff that we're going to learn for sure. I mean, Raiders. This is a team who almost made the playoffs last season. They have Derek Carr. They got worse, though. I mean, they don't have that many receivers. Your only good one is Darren Waller, which is the tight end. Defense doesn't look too good at all. They're one of the worst defenses in the NFL. Offensive line got completely restructured. It got a lot worse. Yeah, this is a team who, even though they make the top 20, they aren't that good of a team, and they're very quickly going to rise down in my power rankings, at least. So yeah, Raiders at 20. Let's go to 19. At 19, another team that got a lot worse, the New Orleans Saints. This is a team who I think is going to regress a lot. Michael Thomas is injured. Alvin Kamara, they're pretty much going to rely on that guy. Jameis, I think, is going to for sure have a good season, but you lose Drew Brees. That's your biggest loss. You lost pretty much your franchise guy. You lost the guy who you've been riding with for a long time. It's pretty much since 2008, over 10 years almost. So it's crazy to think that Drew Brees is no longer in the NFL. He's no longer on the Saints. So, man, we'll see what happens. It's going to be crazy to see how Drew Brees, a no longer Drew Brees team, adjusts to going with Jameis and possibly Taysom Hill if things go wrong for Jameis. But as of right now, at 19, the Saints. At number 18, the Chicago Bears, maybe with the worst starting quarterback in the NFL. No offense to Andy Dalton, but he is no longer the Andy Dalton of Cincinnati that took him to the playoffs. Yeah, very, very, very bad starting quarterback. I think he's going to be gone after week 1, maybe even week 2. And then Justin Fields gets his time to shine. I think that's when the Chicago Bears are going to get really good. But yeah, Chicago Bears, number 19. An up-and-coming team who I really do like to talk about, the Los Angeles Chargers coming in at 17. Justin Herbert, you got yourself Rashawn Slater just right at your laps, dropped a long way down in the draft. You have Keenan Allen, Derwin James is back this season, Austin Eckler as well. Fully healthy team, going to be very fun to watch this team go at it. This is a very young team. They're going to go at it this season. Justin Herbert showed a lot of greatness in his first season in the NFL. So I think he's going to show it again this season, especially. I think a little bit more competitive team we're going to watch here. They're not going to be a team that's going to be drafting in the top 10 or top 15 in the draft once again this year. Maybe top 15, for sure not top 10 or top 5, because this is a team who's going to compete. This is an offensive line who got a lot better. They may have one of the best offensive lines in the league. You signed center Corey Linsley. You brought in Rashawn Slater. You have already good offensive linemen. So you did get protection. You got your needs. You got protection for Justin Herbert, and you got possible targets for Justin Herbert. You got help on the defense for Justin Herbert, so you can get on the offensive end more, score more touchdowns. It's just a good sign to see that this organization is helping out a quarterback. Chargers at 17. A team with a new quarterback, a new franchise quarterback, Mac Jones. It is this New England Patriots entering at number 16. They're one of the best free agencies, getting Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith. You got Nelson Aguilar. You just got so many players in there. So, yeah, I mean, you got Mac Jones. So that's the biggest signing there, I think, for them. New England, really a team that we thought was going to go with Cam Newton. I hope they lose week 1 because they played the Dolphins. But besides that, I mean, they got a lot better. And I think they're back into that thing into that state where you could say New England can very much compete for a wild card spot. I think the division belongs to the Bills. It's going to belong for the Bills at least for another year to go. So, yeah, Patriots get it at 16. Defense got a lot better, too. They signed some players over there. I know they signed the Baltimore Ravens pass rusher. They signed an Eagles safety. So, New England, 16. This is one of the teams, the next 2 teams I really, really want to talk about. Washington football team at 15, and then the Miami Dolphins are at 14, but let's talk about Washington football team. That team may have the best defense in the league. When you really look at it, they have one of the best defensive lines in the league. Very good safeties, very good corners, and they have a top-tier linebacker core. It's crazy when you look at it. I love that team. That team has a good offense. They have Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry, Ryan Fitzpatrick, a solid veteran quarterback who showed greatness with the Miami Dolphins, who showed strides that he could very much be still a start in this league. You have Antonio Gibson at the running back position. You brought in Curtis Samuel. And then you still have a very good tight end core. I mean, it's a good team, man. This Washington football team, I think, wins the division or makes the wild card in the NFL playoffs. They're going to make the playoffs again. I mean, that's it. They almost beat the Buccaneers, man. When you look at it, they almost beat the Buccaneers with Taylor Heineke. Taylor Heineke is, I think, the quarterback of the future. So, yeah, Washington football team gets 15. Miami Dolphins, another good team I think could very much take the division, maybe even make the Super Bowl. They're contenders this season. They kept Xavier Howard. That was your biggest thing. Xavier Howard requested a trade. He said he wanted to stay in Miami, but if you're not going to be respected, you request a trade, and that's exactly what he did, and I don't blame him for doing it. He stays in Miami. Miami makes some restructures in his contract. Yeah, this is a very good Miami Dolphins team. Jalen Waddle, you drafting for this guy, Tua Tagovailoa. I really like it. You also get Myles Gaskins on this team. I mean, it's a very good team. The offensive line, I think, got a little bit better. Miami did what they had to. They got some defensive spots in the draft there to really work on. Javon Hollins being one of them. You got Liam Eichenberg, Hunter Long. I really like what the Dolphins did in the offseason. They very much got some players that they needed. Miami's going to be a top-tier team in this league. They're for sure going to be one for a long time to go. No Deshaun Watson in Miami, no problem. That's what it's going to do. I mean, and then you see guys in this team who just get better. Christian Wilkins getting better by the year. And that defense is a top 5 defense in the league. So, Miami Dolphins, they are my team number 14. At 13, we have the Dallas Cowboys. I think this is the team who I think will take the division at the end of the day, but until a fight with the Washington football team is when they will take it. Dak Prescott is back. Zeke hasn't really been Zeke for the past couple of years. You have Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper, Micah Parsons on the defensive end. I mean, Dallas really got a lot better this offseason with draft, with health. So yeah, I like what Dallas did. They're gonna go into 13 here, and then at 12, we're gonna go with the Tennessee Titans, a team I think got a little bit worse. It would have been a top 10 team if they had kept Corey Davis. Besides that, I mean, I like what they did. They got Bud Dupree. It's a good team. Tennessee's a very good team. The defense got a little bit worse though. I think they'll win the division or make the wild card. I mean, it's just a matter of time. At number 11, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a team who really has a lot to go for this season. They got a new running back, Najee Harris. Receiving core looking good. Juju, you got Claypool. Defense is looking still very, very scary. Mika Fitzpatrick, you have him there. It's a scary team when you look at it. Offensive line looks good. Defensive line, Steven Tuitt. It's a very good team with a lot of future. I think they won't. I don't think they'll win the division. I think Cleveland takes that at the end of the day, but they'll be in the fight for that playoff spot. And now at 10, let's enter the top 10 with the Indianapolis Colts, a team who may have had one of the best off seasons. You had a good team. That's the end. The end. You had a good quarterback, but you decided to upgrade. You get Carson Wentz. They only give up a second round, by the way. You only give up a second round for Carson Wentz. I mean, Michael Pittman Jr. very much looking like a wide receiver 1. T.Y. Hilton's on that team. It's a Quentin Nelson. I mean, Woody Payne, you get added to that team. That team very much is going to make the Super Bowl, or at least they're going to go past the first round of the playoffs, in my opinion. I think they'll go second, maybe even AFC Championship game. I mean, the Colts are a good team. They're a legitimate Super Bowl contender. They're going to be moving up for sure. They have a good running back system. Jonathan Taylor. I like the Colts. I very, very much like the Colts this season. So yeah, Colts at 10. They make the top 10. At number 9, we have the Arizona Cardinals, one of the teams who very much got the best offseason, hands down. AJ Green. You brought in AJ Green. That's just number 1. You get James Conner, very good running back. JJ Watt. You got JJ Watt. What else is there to say? You got JJ Watt. That team is scary, man. And you got some other defensive players in there, I would imagine. They almost got Xavier Howard. Imagine what that would have looked like. Yeah. Buda Baker's on that team. You have a good QB in Kyler Murray. You got a good run game. You got a very, very solid pass game. I mean, maybe the best receivers in the league on that one team. AJ Green hopefully gets his career rejuvenated there. Yeah, Arizona's a top 10 team in the league. They're going to win that division hands down. I mean, Los Angeles Rams is the only team that's going to put up a fight. Yeah, the Rams follow them right at 8. This is a team who made the trade. They tried to get better. I agreed with the trade. It was for Matthew Stafford, a very, very good quarterback, highly talented player. I like what Detroit did with that trade. With what Detroit did in the Rams, I think it was kind of a win-win. You both got your quarterbacks you wanted. So yeah, when you look at the Rams, they're very much a Super Bowl contender in this league. It's just if they put the pieces all together, that defense looks sharp, wideouts look sharp, everything looks sharp on that team. I very much like it. Now, I very much was about to put Miami very high on this list. I was about to put them top 5, top 10 teams in the league. At number 7, we have the Cleveland Browns. I like this team a lot. Baker Mayfield, Jarvis Landry, Odell. They got better. They got Jadeveon Clowney at the edge. There's not much more to say about the Browns. So yeah, the Browns make it at number 7. We have the Baltimore Ravens. This is a team that is run heavy first. They didn't do much with when it comes to getting wide receivers. They got Rashad Bateman. I very much like the player. Besides that, they don't have a running back. I mean, J.K. Dobbins out, Justice Hill out. They're most likely going to go either with Le'Veon Bell or with Devontae Freeman, maybe even sign both. So it's going to be interesting. Their O-line's good. Their defense looks solid. I like the Ravens. They're for sure a top team in the league. All right, entering almost the top 5, we got the Buffalo Bills. At number 5, entering the top 5, we have the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen's in there. That team's a very good team. I mean, there's no other way to say it. I think they'll win the division. Defense is very, very freaking scary. So, yeah. Bills at 5. At number 4, we have Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay Packers. This may be the last season where they're a top 5 team in the league because next season things ain't going to look too good for them. So, yeah, Rodgers, you have Devontae Adams. They just didn't address the wide receiver spot. That is the part that very, very much sucks for this team. They did add Randall Cobb, that wide receiver. So, yeah, they addressed it a little bit. That was Aaron Rodgers' request to get Randall Cobb back on the squad, get the whole gang back together. They want Clay Matthews back. If that happens, Clay Matthews is a beast. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Yeah, Green Bay at 4. Number 3, Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson, that team's crazy. Wilson should have been an MVP candidate. I think Wilson should have won the MVP. He had a very good season, deserved it a lot. Seattle Seahawks at 3. Number 2, we have the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, number 1 is the Bucks. But Kansas really had the best offseason when it comes to addressing needs. They got some receiver help. They got offensive line help. Kyle Long, this guy from New England who's a stud. So, yeah, Chiefs had 2. There's not much to say. In Tampa Bay, got all the pieces they needed back. They signed up Giovanni Bernard, Leonard Fournette, Antonio Brown's back, Rob Gronkowski's back, Tom Brady's back. I mean, that seems just crazy. I mean, number 1 there. Yeah, Tampa Bay won. And there you have it, folks. First video in a while, rounded up to a 40-minute recording session. Hopefully, we could cut it off to a 30-minute video. You'll be seeing this either today, Monday, or tomorrow, Tuesday, depending how the editing system or how the editing goes. So yeah, my name is Kevin Barral, guys. Hopefully you guys like and subscribe to the KO Sports Corner. Follow us on all the socials. I'm going to be posting the NFL look-aheads once again, where I talk about every game. We talk about prediction time. Like and subscribe. My name is Kevin Barral. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.